The Sassy Show is thrilled to partner with Joy Club as our sponsor for this series. Now, Joy Club is an online sex-positive community bringing curious, kinky minds together to connect, learn and play. If you're looking to spice up your social scene or host a sultry event, then Joy Club is a brilliant way of making an impact. But it's not just all about events, honeys. It's also a brilliant way to connect with like-minded individuals who share your passions and maybe even your deepest, wildest fantasies. So whether you want to explore those desires, make meaningful connections, or showcase that uncensored sass, Joy Club has created a safe and welcoming environment for you to do just that. So dive into the world of Joy Club by visiting joyclub.com and let the fun begin. Hello, it is The Sassy Show. I'm your host, Bethany, and today I am in the studio with the one and only Reed Amber.
Woo, hello.
I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
I've prepared a whole introduction, so I'm going to deliver it and hope I get it right.
I'm honoured.
Now, Reed, you're known for so many things. You're a sex worker, you're a sex educator, you're a porn director.
Thank you.
You also speak up for the rights of women, LGBTQ plus people and sex workers' rights, which is all like, hey, thank you. You really caught my attention as the co-creator of Come Curious with Florence, which is just like amazing, multi-award winning. You have a podcast. It's also on YouTube. It's back on YouTube. For a moment. It went away, but back on YouTube. And it's all like honest, advice-filled, very sassy, explicit content, conversations. I love it. But alongside all of these things, you have genuinely worked in the TV, film and adult industry for over 10 years. And in front of the lens, behind the lens, and you also run events, I heard, on the grapevine.
Yes.
Particularly one for people who are tickle enthusiasts, which I am actually a newfound tickle enthusiast.
Oh my God, stop. You'll have to come.
Oh my God.
You'll have to come, please.
I popped my cherry this weekend at an orgy, yeah. I had no idea I liked tickling, so I'm so
my
happy.
goodness. Okay, where is this orgy? Because tickling an orgy sounds divine.
I'll send you an invitation next time. I will. Anyway, so, Reed, please introduce yourself to our sassy audience. I'd love to know where the journey all began.
Amazing. That was the most incredible intro I've ever heard of. I don't know how you remembered all those things. Normally we just get our guests to like intro themselves. Like, please do the job. So yeah, you got it spot on.
Okay. Thanks, honey.
Sex educator online. I love talking about sex and sex work and often topics that are quite difficult to talk about openly. So Florence and I started Come Curious 10 years ago. At the same time, I was in the adult industry. I was working on porn. I've done all jobs in the porn industry, like everything from runner, script writer, camera operator, director, video editor, but also in front of the camera as well. I'm big on OnlyFans. OnlyFans is like the thing. Not that I'm praising the Lord for OnlyFans. OnlyFans is a little bit of a prick and they don't support sex workers as much as I would like them to, but it's where my biggest audience is. And it's my bread and butter. And yeah, Florence and I, we met on a porn set and created Come Curious, where we're just sitting around talking about sex openly, talking about all the gross things, you know, like why do we get discharged? And I don't know how to suck a dick, so how do I do it? Like, how do I give good head? What do I do if I think I'm gay? We try to cover everything. Yeah. So that's that's kind of my bag.
And I feel like everything you do take on and the approach you have, is this quite light-hearted? I'm being raw, I'm being honest, and we don't need to feel bad about these things.
Yes, it's all about destigmatizing and trying to get rid of that shame that so many of us feel around sex and around our bodies, around our genitals, because we were never taught. We were never taught that it's actually okay to want to do weird stuff in the bedroom or have weird fetishes and kinks. It's okay if all of a sudden you've got ingrown hairs in your genitals, you don't want to be seen by anyone. I've got a giant giant one at the moment that just doesn't seem to quit.
And is it achy? You know, when you accidentally rub it,
when
and
you
you're like,
sit on it, you're like, oh, why? Especially when I've got a date tonight. I'm like,
honey,
it's so frustrating. Maybe you can get it out for me. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be a conversation starter.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
how are you with ingrown hair?
So we found that any time we felt a little bit uncomfortable about talking about something, that was when we had to push ourselves to talk about it. So again, STIs, I've had, what have I had? Herpes. No, I've got herpes on my neck. Thanks, Grandma. She put that one there.
Okay.
You know, like genital warts. And recently I had syphilis medication. Syphilis be back, like from the Middle Ages. Yo, what is happening?
I think syphilis, killed a king or something.
Yeah,
back in
it does bad shit. Like, go get yourself tested, please, because it is important. And yeah, we just love talking about the stuff that really freaks people out.
And I think when people absorb this kind of conversation, they don't always know how much courage it takes to actually talk about things. So I was wondering, going back to like teenage you, were you always this chatty? Did you have moments where you're like,
yes. I don't know whether it's because I'm ADHD, I just had a diagnosis, or whether my mum's autistic. She brought me up with like a real different feeling around sex and sex talk. There wasn't really much shame there. It was very like biological, just spoke about it. It was very normal. Nudity was very normal in our house. So I got lucky in that aspect, but I was obsessed with sex, obsessed with the taboo. I wanted to learn more. I was fascinated why people got turned on, why people could have a phobia of something or have a fetish for something. The psychology behind it was fascinating. And yeah, I had a loud mouth. I got into a lot of trouble at school. I was very disruptive, but I honestly think that was just ADHD. Like, I can't stand being in this situation. And I got very lucky where it was just, do what you enjoy. Don't do what you think you should do in life. Do what you enjoy. And sex was what I enjoyed. And I ended up creating a career around it. Yeah. And of course, sometimes it wavers. Sometimes it is hard to sit there on a podcast when you are feeling miserable or you've just gone through a breakup and you have to sit there talking about sex. That can be really hard. But for the most part, everything about it excites me and I enjoy it. And just learning more, I'm like, give me all of that information.
That's a very unique upbringing, actually. I think having that support, the openness, bodies, conversation. What was the stepping stone for you to get onto that porn set? The first, because I'm intrigued. Like, I've been looking for a while. Like, how can I be a runner? How do you get to be a scriptwriter? Because there's so much potential there to tell stories that I know a lot of us want to see on screen.
Yes,
we want to consume those beautiful erotic fantasies so that we know that weird thought we had actually isn't weird because I saw it in that beautiful film. You know, it can be life changing. But where's the door? Because it seems like quite a private place.
It is very private, especially now. I feel like so many people are interested to get into the porn industry, but there are ways to get in there. What I did was, when I was at university, I learned television production, so that's what got me all of my knowledge around how to film and how to edit. And I just wanted to film porn. I was obsessed with porn, but I nearly got kicked out of uni after doing some work experience during my university time. Literally nearly kicked me out.
Why?
Because I suppose it wasn't an acceptable piece of work experience. Work experience was part of the course, and they basically made me go and do normal work experience in the normal industry. And I worked with the BBC, which was great, sure, but I was just like, I hate this. I don't want to be here. You know, like, it's not my people. I'm sat there silently really having to think about what I have to say and couldn't be myself. In a porn set, you can be yourself. You can talk about anything. Well, I mean, now times have changed. This was about 11 years ago.
Okay.
And I slowly worked my way up. I think I emailed a bunch of people, and I think it helped that I was female as well, just being like, I'm really interested in the porn industry. And from there, my first job at porn was in this tiny, like, independent, very amateur BDSM studio with this couple that, I mean, it was so cool, and it was all the way in Guildford, and I just did running duties. I was towel girl. I literally was the person that wiped down the apparatus, you know?
The essential job, babe.
And I loved it. It really catapulted me into extreme fetish, extreme bondage. You know, we did everything from like, it was like piss play and sounding and fisting.
What's
and
sounding?
Sounding is playing with your wee hole.
That's called sounding.
Yeah, so sounding can be, you know, for penis owners, and you put it right down the wee hole, and it can be really pleasurable for... We've got the actions over there.
Yeah.
Can be really pleasurable for people, or it can be really not very comfortable. And you can also sound vulva owners. So, I've got a huge kink for that as well.
Oh, I love...
Yet to play with it, but it's gonna happen at some point.
Okay.
It's on my list.
Okay, I'm excited for you. There was this beautiful film that Riot showed in a film festival that was just that, sounding two women, like women with AFAB bodies.
Yeah.
And I was on the edge, and I think it's interesting seeing in our own lifespan, I'm sure you've had this, something that maybe was a bit like, ooh, a few years later you're suddenly like, ooh.
Well, this stuff has always been around, but when you dip your toe and you find that community and you find like-minded people, it becomes less shameful, less misunderstood. You're moving away from people that are really like, oh God, like disgusted by it. You're moving towards people that are more accepting, even if it is wild and crazy and you're sitting there going like, oh, I would never do that. But people, like, you find your people, and that's what I've had to do. Growing up, I was really far removed from all the sex that I was having, from people not understanding my fantasies. I did speak a lot about masturbation and fantasies with my friends, but never quite on the level that I was thinking about. A lot of the stuff I was thinking about was very taboo, very dark, very like, you know, incestuous, very CNC, which is consensual, non-consensual. And I know a lot of people think like that, but I was miserable. I was miserable not having the sex that I wanted and not being able to talk about it openly with people. So gradually, as I grew older, I became more accepting of my own fetish and my own needs. I really recognized that there wasn't something broken or wrong with me, that it was just something that maybe had happened in my past or a circumstance that had just created a big emotional reaction to it. I was obsessed with that thing, and not getting what I needed really meant for a lot of my years I was not sexually satisfied. I really struggled achieving an orgasm because I wasn't allowing myself to indulge in my deepest, darkest fantasies and fetishes. And learning about it has changed everything. You know, I've gone from doing all my research, looking at like actual science papers to understand more about it, to now getting myself online, meeting like-minded people, and creating an event, Tickle Enthusiasm.
Yeah. Oh my God, please tell us about that.
So Tickle Enthusiasm was something that I created just after lockdown. We mutually ended a 7-year relationship where, you know, I could dabble a little bit in my fetish, but it wasn't fully met. And I was just like, I need to rid the shame. I'm struggling. I need to find more people. And I put myself online. I got myself into forums. I found people online in London that also had a tickle fetish. And I was like, I need to do this in person. And so that was scary as well, being a woman, meeting an absolute stranger from FetLife. I wouldn't recommend it unless you really truly trust yourself and trust the people around you. Meet in a public space, because FetLife is the wild west of fetish. Like, do be careful. There are loads of resources now for fetish peeps. Like, we have Field, which is an amazing dating app, which is the main thing I use. There are other forums that you can go to. Met somebody, had my first tickle session, and was like, I need to do this. I need to meet more people. Just talking to people online wasn't enough for me. Meeting dates that had no real clue what fetish was and couldn't understand kink. And we have like toxic doms and toxic subs out there where you're just putting yourself in weird positions and feeling really weirdly. So I just rented a dungeon and invited everybody I knew online to come and join my first tickle event, and 11 people turned up.
Yay! Double figures.
It was crazy. I was not expecting it. 11, and I didn't charge anyone as well. It was like I asked for a £5 venue donation.
Oh, bless you.
yeah, like just meeting people in person, talking to them and understanding that we each had the same things, the same fears, the same worries, but also the same interests. It just, I felt at home. And so that's been built up over the past couple of years. And now we have a really strong event that happens twice a year. The last one was amazing. There were so many people there. And it is literally just tickling. It is bondage and tickling. And of course, I encourage all types of play and nudity, gender, sexuality. Everyone is welcome. But it's just tickling.
It's tickling.
It's beautiful. It's intense, but it's beautiful.
I heard when I was tied up this weekend being tickled, it helped being tied, actually, the restraining factor, because you're really like, but they said apparently it's a flight or fright response.
Wow, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Yeah,
I hadn't heard of that before.
That makes so much sense. So again, I don't condone any non-consensual tickling. Like, again, we don't touch bodies. It really makes me uncomfortable if I see someone being tickled by someone. I'm like, like, I want it to be consensual, but I want limits pushed. I want it to be non-consensual play and role play. And I love bondage specifically. I like being held down and tickled, but bondage is the one for me. It's just, it helps you get to that subspace. And it is completely involuntary movements and laughter and uncontrollable loss of control.
Yeah.
It's, not everyone likes it. You know, funnily enough, there's a lot of people I know it's a hard limit for. They will not go near it. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll do needle play and impact play, but do not tickle me. It's fascinating. And then for me, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, tickle me until I say my safe word and push past that safe word. But that's, again, very extreme. Respect the safe word, please. Unless you're like me and really enjoy being pushed past that.
Yeah,
that's what gets me off. Like, I can have ticklegasms, full body ticklegasms just from tickling. It is wild.
Ticklegasm. I think that needs to go in the dictionary, you know.
Yeah,
I need to add that one in.
I think so. And a footgasm. If
yeah.
my feet are played with, touched, tickled,
just a toe in someone's mouth. I remember the first time I had that, and I was like, "That's a sensation that I've never had before." And
there's also somewhere in the brain, and I wish I could remember the names of it, but where you feel sensation in the brain, feet and genitals are next to each other in the brain. You know, you've got like arm, legs, whatever it is, but genitals and feet are very close to each other, so it can mesh together and create pleasure for a lot of people. And I don't know about you, but I was so anti-feet when I was growing up. Really? I hated my feet. I literally wore socks every time that I fucked and was with my first boyfriend.
Sock wearer.
I was I was so ashamed of my feet. And now I'm like, can't get enough. Now I have foot clients that come and pay to worship my feet. It's my favorite thing. If somebody's into feet, I'm literally like, you, especially if I see it on field, I'm like, we're going on a date. This is it. Yes.
Transformational journey.
Yeah.
There we go. So if people are listening and they have that thought of like, ooh, I hate this, there is the potential in a few years' time they're going to love it.
Yeah. You have to ask yourself, why are you so anti that thing?
Okay.
Is it something that your body, your brain is protecting you from? You know, like it's like when people are like, I'm 100% straight. I'm like, are you though? You know, it's like they're angry about it. You know, like, and I was the same. I was like, I hate feet. They're gross. And I'm like, now I'm like, what was going on there?
I'm happy for your feet. It's very clear, Reed, how free and liberated you are today, and I'm a big fan of it. But I'm wondering how the images and the portrayal of sexuality in media and body image has impacted you.
Oh my goodness. Well, I haven't always been this confident. Okay. I was a very nerdy, neaky kid. I've had a lot of anxiety. I was bullied at school. There was a lot of not really trusting myself, trusting my gut, always trying to people please and be something that I wasn't. And I think the way that media brought me up was, again, obsessed with skinniness, obsessed with weight. We, especially if you grew up through the 90s, everything was about like stick thin. It was all about
heroin
fashion.
chic,
Heroin chic, fashion models, don't eat. So I did become really obsessive around my eating habits, around obsessing about the way that I look. And it took me a long time to really accept who I was, again, with so much therapy. It's the same with social media, in terms of we have to be so careful about what we say online. We can't say the word sex, we can't say fetish. Everything has to be cleverly coded or censored out, which makes it really tough. I've had my account deleted 9 times, my Instagram account, because of the content that I would post, and it was very frustrating.
I'm sorry, your content is pure beauty.
Oh, thank you.
It's honest, which I love that word, but
Thank you.
it's educational.
I try. Also, that is a hack to get around the rules. If you want to post something sexy, make it educational. I definitely started off that way because I felt like a lot of my validation came from being sexy online, and that's why people liked me and were interested in me, especially growing up as a sex worker, starting during webcam and then going onto the babe channels and the babe beds, and then now creating my own custom content at home, doing what I love, not creating content for people that I think that's what they want to see. Now it's just for me, and then I happen to sell it. And porn really fucked me up for a long time. I was very much addicted to masturbation, very much addicted to porn. I would use porn to self-soothe and to mood regulate, which apparently a lot of people can do. Especially if you're watching porn at work, it can be a source of mood regulation. And just, like having a cigarette, it makes you feel good. And the way that I saw porn was very much like the bog standard. Everyone looked a certain type. It was always like man, hardcore. Women often had big boobs, tiny nipples, perfectly shaven vulvas. They were so smooth, and men always had these giant dicks. And the type of content that you would see would be really aggressive to women. So of course I grew up thinking that that's the way I needed to look, that's the way I needed to sound, and that's what was acceptable when I was having sex. I've learned since that no, I don't like to be choked or slapped in the face, but I really thought I did, because that was the type of content that I watched. And I still, in my head, I still sometimes think, well, maybe I would like that, and then it happens, so I'm like, oh no, I don't want that. So that really tainted the way that I felt about myself, about my vulva, about my big beautiful hanging flaps, because you didn't see that online, about my giant gorgeous nipples. But back then I was like, I got pepperoni nips, no one's gonna find me attractive, which is outrageous.
I know it is. I feel like a lot of what you're saying makes me think, is it just a course of life that everyone will get to sort of around the 30 mark and suddenly realize, oh shit, I can be confident and I do like how I look. Maybe they don't, maybe they won't get there in life, but is that a part of growing up? I'm not sure. I
am seeing a huge change when we get past our 20s, because I was an anxious mess. I had a terrible time in my 20s. As soon as I got to my 30s, I felt like there was this switch in myself and a switch in all the people around me, where suddenly that life pressure just alleviates a little bit. You're not thinking, oh my God, I have to have kids by I'm 30. I'm supposed to own my house. I'm supposed to be in that white picket fence loving family. And that's just not what most people want. That's what we fantasize about. I mean, I feel like I'm very much in that fantasy right now. It's so hard. I still fantasize about it. I want the 2 perfect kids with the do I really want that? Do I want that very standard, that's just one way to have a relationship? No, if I'm really thinking about it, if I take all that down, I'm like, I want my partners to be in all different houses. I want that table poly life. I want to adopt loads of kids and loads of dogs. Like, that would be the dream. Yay. And even then, I'm not ready for that yet. And I'm 34 and I don't know when I'll be ready. I might not be ready until I'm 40, 50 even. We'll see. I think we now appreciate authenticity. That is what we're finding attractive. We're learning that actually finding somebody that has good looks on a dating app actually isn't really what we want, because they're not necessarily meeting our needs and our values. And we're now, instead of thinking of that like quick fix, we're thinking of the long game. What are their political views? What do they want to do about children? How do they spend their money and save their money? All of that is incredibly important for our happiness when we want to find a partner. And also like, oh my God, communication. I
I
used to think I was great at communication. No. If you're having an argument, you're not good at communication. It doesn't matter what it is. You're not sitting there and taking your time and listening, and it's so hard. I often react rather than respond, and I'm trying really hard to slow that down, especially even if I feel like my partner's being shitty. It's still my responsibility to look after them and to understand why they're being shitty. Sit them down and be like, okay, what's happening here? But no, if I'm in a bad place, I will react and I will happily start a fight. So it's learning to just stop that in its tracks.
Yeah, it's a big one. That's what the 30s are for, honey.
Yes, the self-growth, the learning. Therapy. Everyone can learn, but therapy fast tracks that. And it is so valuable. I would not be where I am without therapy.
Yeah. You're on the Sassy Show, Reed.
Sassy.
Sassy. I want to know, what does your sassy side look like?
Oh, shit me. My sassy side is when I see someone fit in public and I'm like, I'm going to go ask them out. That is my like full sassy side. And I go up to some like gorgeous person and I'm like, hi, are you single? I'm really attracted to you. That's my line.
That's the lie every time.
Most of the time, yeah. It's normally like I'm attracted to you, and is it okay for me to talk to you and hit on you?
Okay.
Like, are you single or are you non-monogamous? Are you in a position for me to hit on you right now? And lots of people say no. That's exactly, it's like outrageous confidence.
Yeah.
Because the buzz I get afterwards, even if they say like, oh, no, I'm all good. I'm like, okay, I did something really hard today.
Oh.
But sometimes when they say yes, jeez, like got your number. I might never ever meet up with you, but...
But I got dopamine here.
I know, it's the dopamine chasing, it's the ADHD in me. I'm trying not to do that now. Communicating, be like, it was really nice meeting you, but I'm not really feeling a date.
Well done. That is growth. But I also love the hitting on. I love that sassy side.
Yeah, and the sex worker stuff. Oh my God. When I'm earning shit tons of money for doing something that I enjoy and love, again, like someone paying to give my foot a massage and worship my feet, or if I'm like fucking somebody, which I do anyway after a date, and I get paid for it, I'm like, oh, I love this so much.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Living the best life.
Living my best life.
Yeah, it does
Finally.
it feels quite surreal sometimes when you're like, wow, I had a day of doing all the things I love and I made money.
Yes.
That's the dream.
Exactly
That's the
that.
dream.
Sex work is not for everybody, and it has been a journey.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something that I very much enjoy and I love.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very much in charge of what you're wanting to create as well.
Yes.
As you said,
yeah.
like you're doing it for you and then you're making some money off it.
Hasn't always been that way, but it's been like a hard learning road of being like, oh, actually, no, I don't want to do that job. Okay.
Yeah, and I wish more people were in a position where they can feel they can do that, because I know often when the privilege is less or problems come up and there's less financial security, it can mean that compromises happen. So it's
absolutely, for our vulnerable sex workers, like BIPOC, people of colour, people that are on the LGBTQ scene, like they need to be protected, and so many people use sex work to be able to pay for their rent, and we must protect the vulnerable peeps.
Yes. Reed, it's the end of the interview, which means it is quick fire time.
Oh, let's go. I'm not very good at quick fire, but we'll try.
Really? Okay, well, I'm going to read the... Okay, one dream you want to come true.
Oh my goodness. I would love to see more equality, like everyone being taught differently, and a lack of judgment. If we could just abolish judgment, that would be my dream.
I wonder how we could do that in every human.
Just take it out. We're just like eternal sunshine for the spotless mind. There you go.
Oh, I haven't seen that film.
Oh, you got to. It's beautiful.
Kate Winslet, old school, isn't it? Name one key experience that has shaped you positively.
Wow. Going sober. Going drug-free has completely shaped me. You know, went through 13 years of drug abuse. And then one moment just went, oh my goodness, I suffered enough, and I was like, I need to go sober. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever done, and it has had the most positive experience and outlook. Like, I feel like a completely different person than this time last year. completely different. I no longer feel horrendously anxious and crazy. I think that was like the main thing. I felt crazy all the time and like something was desperately wrong. And of course I was just running and hiding in drugs and saying yes to everything. And now, it is incredible, the change.
This is a good year, huh?
Oh my God, I can't wait for this year. I'm so excited. I'm like, there's so many sober things that I'm gonna do. Like, I still love having sex sober, or like sober sex. Who knew sober sex was gonna be better? Sober masturbating was better.
Really?
Sober raving. Oh my, who knew? They don't tell you this shit in NA, but wow. Yeah.
Sober raving, it's possible. There's a lot out there, a lot of options. Okay, a cause that is close to your heart or a law you want to change.
Oh, that would be decriminalizing. Decriminalizing? Decriminalizing sex work. Hey, we got there in the end. That would be incredible, because at the moment it is legal for sex work, but there are lots of crazy, complicated rules, like you can't be in the same place as somebody doing sex work because therefore it's a brothel and you could both be arrested. It is, for safety, and you could both be arrested. So it'd be really nice to see it decriminalised and more accepted in the UK.
I find the craziest rule that it's legal if you do it in your own home. Yeah. And how does that make anyone safe? Like,
I don't know. But if I had a friend doing sex work next to me, in the room next to me, in my own home, again, illegal.
Whoa.
Yeah, it is wild. Mm-hmm.
What is that? Okay. What is the best thing about being you?
Okay. So I am learning that ADHD used to hinder me, and now it's a superpower. Now it's a positive. I'm learning how to manage my ADHD more, how to look out for the signs that, how to find my better coping mechanisms. And if I'm awake at 3 a.m. with so much like and excitement and I want to write down all these crazy ideas, then utilize that rather than sitting there going like, no, you should be asleep, this is bad, or thinking that you're crazy. And then also those days where I am completely dead, completely flat, want to be in bed for 3 days, give myself that self-acceptance that is just who I am. Since going sober, the creativity has been popping off. So many exciting ideas. I mean, it's not all great. Like I said, I'm very much, I still get my down days, and honestly, it's the craziness, like feeling so overwhelmed, constant thoughts, especially negative thoughts. Like my OCD was so horrifically bad, but this year is like, again, new me. It's all, I feel capable. I feel it's all manageable now. So yeah, very, very grateful for that.
Oh, I love that. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. If people want to check out your work, honey, where do they need to go?
So the best place to find me on is probably Instagram. That's @ReadAmberX. And I am on Twitter, TikTok, but I wouldn't go there. Also, Twitter's fucked now anyway.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's horrible. It's a horrible place to be.
Oh, God.
But it's the only place that I can openly put my sex work.
Yeah.
And of course you can find us at Come Curious, so COME Curious. We are on YouTube, we are on Patreon, where it's all ad-free, full-length videos that you can watch us. YouTube, we can't have full episodes on there, it's only little snippets. And of course we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts if you want it for free, and of course my OnlyFans, so that's @ReadAmberX, or you can find links on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to Twitter.
And you'll find links to my event, Tickle Enthusiasm, there if you want to come and enjoy being a lure or a lee.
Oh, yeah.
Or a switch.
A lurry lee.
Yeah, a lure is a tickler and a lee is a tickle-lee.
Tickle-lee. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show, hon.
Thank you for having me. This has been lovely.
Okay, let's wrap it up. That's the end. This episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors, joyclub.com, an online sex-positive community bringing kinky, curious wonders together from all walks of life. Whether you're looking to spice up your social calendar with those hottest events, share your steamy thoughts and ideas in their lively forum, or set out for a search for that hot date, Joy Club is the ultimate destination to connect with those like-minded individuals. Creating your profile is easy, and it is the perfect way to showcase your unique vibe. Share those sassy photos and explore topics that excite you, and dive into the welcoming community where learning, exploring, and pleasure is encouraged. So if you're ready to bring a little extra excitement and joy into your world, head over to joyclub.com and join the community today.